After my husband died, I suddenly heard the secret wishes of the Omegas around me. I found out I could hear the hidden desires of Omegas the same morning I buried my husband. Tragic timing, right? Or maybe the universe has a twisted sense of humor, because the first secret I heard was my own heart breaking louder than the shovels hitting the dirt. The funeral home parking lot was still buzzing with murmured condolences when it hit me. A voice that wasn't a voice. A whisper that didn't come from anyone's mouth. Please, someone help me breathe. Don't let me faint here. I turned sharply. A small Omega woman stood near the door, her face pale, and I watched her knees buckle before her alpha husband caught her. My breath hitched. That wasn't spoken aloud. Not even a sound. I didn't know what was happening. I just wanted to crawl back into the house Ethan and I shared and let my grief swallow me whole. Instead, the world layered itself with soundless confessions, soft pleas, private aches that made my own sorrow feel suddenly multiplied. As if grieving my husband wasn't enough, now I was drowning in the inner worlds of strangers. My name is Rowan Hale, 35, widower, and apparently some kind of unwilling Omega whisperer. The universe had jokes. The first time I heard an Omega speak without moving their lips, I assumed I was losing my mind. The 10th time I realized madness would have been easier. By day 3, I couldn't walk through a grocery store without picking up a dozen buried emotions like static electricity. I want him to look at me like he used to. I wish someone would just ask if I'm okay. I hope my alpha never finds out. The voices overwhelmed me, threads of longing weaving themselves inside my already fragile chest. And then there was his voice, Rafael Torres, the alpha who lived 5 houses down, the alpha who had been there when Ethan got sick, the alpha with warm brown eyes that always looked like he was apologizing for something he hadn't said, the alpha whose silent wish hit me like a lightning strike the first time I heard it. I hope he lets someone hold him again someday. I froze on the sidewalk when that whisper touched the air between us. Raphael had been walking his dog, giving me his usual nod, polite but meaningful, the kind people give when they're trying to say, I see your pain, without making you collapse. He didn't say a word, but I heard the rest. I felt it. He was hoping for me, and that terrified me more than any grief, any new ability, any unspoken desire swirling through town. Because before Ethan, before the years of loving a man who taught me softness in a world that often demanded I be quiet, Rafael Torres had been my almost. My what if, my could have been. And now he was wishing for something I wasn't sure I had the strength to give. I started avoiding him for the next 2 weeks. But fate doesn't tolerate avoidance for long. It happened at 2 in the morning on a rainy Tuesday. I was lying on the living room couch, staring at the ceiling, wrapped in a blanket that still smelled faintly like Ethan's cologne. Sleep had become a stranger. Silence only made the voices louder. When the knocking started, I wanted to ignore it, but it didn't stop. 3 firm knocks, quiet but urgent. I dragged myself to the door, opened it, and there he was, Raphael, soaked from the rain, a gray hoodie clinging to his broad shoulders, his breath visible in the chilly night. His eyes had the same warmth as always, but something else too. Fear? Worry? Or maybe something deeper. He wasn't speaking, but his mind was loud. Please let him be okay. Please don't shut the door. Please don't push me away again. I gripped the door frame. What are you doing here? You didn't answer your phone, he said. His voice was rough in the way tired men sound at the end of a long shift. And I saw your lights on for the last 2 nights. I just wanted to check. His concern wrapped itself around my ribs like a tightening band. I'm fine, I said too quickly. I'm not fine. I miss him. I don't know how to breathe. I flinched. I hadn't meant to think that loudly. But Raphael didn't react. He couldn't hear me. Only I could hear him. Only I could hear everyone. I stepped back and let him in. He removed his wet hoodie, shook out his hair, apologized for the puddle he was making in my foyer. Typical Raphael, always apologizing. We sat on the couch, the storm whispering against the windows. For a long time, neither of us spoke. He finally broke the silence. Rowan, I know you're hurting, and I know I can't fix that. His voice trembled just slightly. But I care if you're okay. There it was again. That gentle sincerity that made my stomach twist. His thoughts followed, soft like a prayer. I wish he would let someone in. Even if it's not me. The worst part was that Ethan would have wanted that for me too. He would have taken my face in his hands, kissed my forehead, and told me not to be alone longer than necessary. He always believed love wasn't something you ran out of. It grew, multiplied, but my heart still felt like a cracked window, letting air in but unable to hold warmth the way it used to. I swallowed hard. I don't know how to do this, I whispered. You don't have to know, Raphael said softly. You just have to. Not go through it alone. The words broke something in me, or maybe they put something back together. For the first time in weeks, the voices around me dimmed. The endless whispers of longing and fear pulled back, like they were giving me space. Was this what calm felt like? He reached out, hesitating a moment, then rested his hand on mine. His palm was warm, grounding, steady. His silent wish fluttered through me again. Please let me stay. Not as a replacement, just as someone who cares. My throat tightened. I didn't pull my hand away. I didn't know what this meant. I didn't know if I was ready. But the universe had already taken too much from me. Maybe this strange new ability wasn't a punishment but a reminder of what people hide, what they want, what they ache for. And here was Raphael right in front of me, no longer hiding. You're a good man, I murmured. He laughed once, bitter. You don't know half the things I regret. I looked at him closely. Then let me know them. For a heartbeat, everything stilled. His thoughts. God. I loved him once. I shouldn't admit that. Not now. But I never stopped caring. My pulse stumbled. Loved? Past tense. Or maybe not past at all. I felt the room tilt. Raph? He closed his eyes. I'm sorry. For what? For wanting something I don't have any right to want. Thunder cracked outside. The lights flickered. And what's that? I whispered. He looked at me then. The storm reflected in his eyes. His voice shook when he answered. You. Before I could breathe, before I could think, before I could even understand the way my chest ached in response. His thoughts crashed through me like a wave. I want to hold him. I want to keep him safe. I want to make him feel something other than grief. But I can't hurt him. I won't be selfish. I won't rush him. Tears filled my eyes. Not because he confessed, but because he didn't. Because he wasn't taking. He was waiting. A good man indeed. I wiped my face with the back of my hand. Raphael, I'm not ready. Not yet. His shoulders relaxed. I know. But I don't want you to go. He froze. Hope, fragile and bright, sparked quietly in his thoughts. I'll stay as long as he needs me. I scooted closer until our knees brushed. The storm outside softened to rain like fingertips drumming on the roof. For the first time since Ethan died, I let someone sit with me in the dark without feeling guilty. Not lover, not replacement, just presence. Warmth, steady, alive. Slowly, something inside me unclenched, and the world, crowded with the secret wishes of Omegas, went silent enough for me to breathe. The rain kept whispering against the windows long after Raphael settled beside me, both of us quiet in the dim glow of the living room lamp. My blanket slid off my shoulder, and without speaking, he reached over and pulled it back up, careful, gentle, like he was afraid I'd shatter if he touched me too quickly. Ethan used to tuck blankets the same way. The ache that memory left behind was sharp but not unbearable. Not with Raphael sitting next to me, grounding me with nothing but presence. You want something to drink? He asked softly. I shook my head. I just don't want to think right now. Is that okay? You don't have to think, he murmured. Just breathe. Breathe. God. I had forgotten what that felt like. We sat there listening to the rain, my pulse beginning to slow from its constant frantic rhythm. The voices of nearby Omegas drifted faintly at the edges of my awareness, but they didn't sink claws into me this time. They stayed like distant echoes, manageable, almost gentle, maybe because Raphael was here, Maybe because his mind wasn't chaotic like others. Even when he was hurting, his thoughts felt anchored, precise, controlled. And somehow that steadiness kept my new ability from swallowing me whole. I leaned back against the couch, closing my eyes for a moment. He watched me. I could feel his gaze like a warm touch. His thoughts whispered in a low, steady hum. He looks exhausted. I wish I could take some of that pain from him. I shouldn't think about holding him. Don't think about it. Don't want the thing you can't have. It almost made me smile. Almost. You don't have to watch over me like I'm going to collapse, I said quietly, eyes still closed. Faint chuckle. I'm not. I'm just making sure you don't disappear inside your own head. I opened my eyes, turning toward him. He had shifted a little, one leg tucked under the other, his body angled toward mine. His hoodie hung loose around his torso, sleeves pushed up just enough to show the veins on his forearms. His hair was still damp, curling slightly above his forehead. There was a time, years back, when seeing him like this would have twisted something fierce in my stomach. Before Ethan. Before everything. But now the feeling was different. Softer. Heavy, yes, but without guilt. Just unfamiliar. Why do you care so much? I asked. Came out more vulnerable than I meant for it to. He blinked. Rowan. No, really, I insisted. People care, sure, but you show up at 2 in the morning. In the rain. You don't have to do that. His jaw flexed. He looked down at his hands. Some people matter enough that you don't wait for daylight. His thought followed immediately, unguarded. I shouldn't have said that out loud. My throat tightened. I reached out and lightly touched the back of his hand. He stilled, startled. I'm not asking you to explain, I said. I just needed to hear it. Raphael looked at me then. Really looked, as if mapping out every crack the last few months had left on my skin. His eyes softened, losing their usual guardedness. The storm outside softened into a gentle drizzle. You want to sit by the fireplace? He asked. It's freezing in here. I nodded, grateful for something to focus on that didn't involve emotions clawing out of my chest. He stood, started gathering a few logs from the basket near the hearth. I watched him work, the fluid, practiced movements of someone who'd done this countless times. Something about the way he moved always carried a subtle strength, quiet but undeniable. He struck a match, the flame catching, crackling softly. Light flickered across his features, sharpening the angles of his face. For a moment, he looked like something carved out of determination and tenderness. When he stood, he dusted his hands off and gestured to the floor. Come on, it's warmer down here. I hesitated, but he gave me that look, the gentle, patient one, and I finally pushed myself up from the couch and sat beside him on the rug. The heat seeped into my fingers. The firelight colored the room in soft golds and oranges, shadows dancing on the walls. Raphael sat close enough that our shoulders brushed. A small, deliberate touch, not accidental. His silent thought came like a careful whisper. Let him lean on you. Just be here. Don't want more than that. It made my chest ache in a way that wasn't entirely painful. How long has it been since you slept properly? He asked. I exhaled. Since the funeral. He nodded, unsurprised. I figured. I don't want to close my eyes, I said slowly. Because when I do, I hear them more. All of them. I don't know why or how, but it gets louder when I'm tired. Like I'm drowning in other people's unspoken wants. Raphael's expression softened. That sounds like hell. It feels like hell. He was silent for a long moment, then asked, When did it start? The first time you noticed it. The funeral, I said, voice barely above a whisper. I thought I was cracking under grief, but it didn't stop. It got worse. I keep hearing things nobody says out loud. Raphael didn't question my sanity. Didn't give me some dismissive comment about trauma-induced delusions. He just accepted it like a truth I had handed him with trembling hands. If it's real and I believe it has to mean something, he said softly. Maybe it's not a curse. It feels like one. Most gifts do at first. The crackling fire filled the silence between us. Outside, the rain slowed to a soft tapping. I rested my head lightly against his shoulder, testing his reaction. He didn't move, didn't tense, didn't shift away. He just let me rest there, his breathing steady and calm. His mind whispered so gently I almost missed it. I could stay like this forever. I closed my eyes. Tell me something, I murmured. Anything. You said earlier you regret things. What did you mean? He inhaled sharply. I heard the hesitation, saw it ripple through his posture. It's complicated. So is everything about me right now, I said with a small, wry smile. You can trust me. His thoughts were a swirl of conflict. Not yet. Not tonight. I don't want to break him with truths he's not ready for. Then he said quietly, it's not something I want to put on you while you're grieving. It wouldn't break me. You don't know that. I lifted my head slightly to look at him. Raph, you're not the kind of man who could break someone, even if you tried. His eyes hardened suddenly, not at me, but at something inside himself. You're wrong, he said. His voice was low, rough. I've hurt people before. Not physically, but with choices, with silence, with walking away when I should have stayed. He looked away from the fire, shadows crossing his features. When Ethan got sick, he continued, I wanted to visit more. I wanted to help you both. But I kept thinking you had your own life, your own love, and I didn't want to intrude. You were never intruding. I didn't know that. His next thought was sharp, aching. I should have told him how I felt years ago, before it was too late, before he chose someone else. I swallowed. Raphael, what exactly did you feel? He opened his mouth, closed it again, struggling. His silent thoughts were louder than his voice. Don't say it. He isn't ready. He'll think you're trying to replace Ethan. He'll push you away. He clenched his jaw. Nothing that matters anymore. It matters to me, I said softly. He exhaled through his nose, frustrated. Rowan, you wanted me, I whispered. Back then. He froze. His pulse quickened. I could see it in the way his neck tightened, the way his chest rose a little too sharply. Yes, he admitted in a low, broken voice. I wanted you. I never did anything about it. And I never would have. But yes, my heart stuttered. Why didn't you ever tell me? Because you were happy, he said simply. Because you loved him. And because I'd rather die than be the reason you doubted that. My vision blurred with tears again. He reached for me without thinking, thumb brushing the corner of my eye. I'm not telling you this to make you feel anything, he murmured. I'm telling you because you asked. And because I promised myself I'd never lie to you. His touch was feather-light, careful, reverent. And his thoughts. I still want him. God help me, I still want him. But I'll never take what he isn't ready to give. A tear slipped down my cheek. Raphael, I whispered, voice trembling. I'm scared. I know. I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know what I want. I don't know how to move forward without feeling like I'm betraying Ethan. Raphael took my hands in his. His grip was warm, steady, grounding. You're not betraying him, he said firmly. Loving someone new someday doesn't erase what you had with him. And if Ethan was the man you say he was, he'd want you to heal. He'd want you to live. I closed my eyes. The truth in those words hurt, but it was a gentle kind of hurt. You don't have to choose right now, he continued. You don't have to decide anything. Just let yourself feel. Just let yourself be alive for a while. Thunder rumbled softly in the distance as the storm finally drifted away. Raphael's hands tightened around mine as his thoughts whispered like a vow. I'll stay. As long as he needs me, I'll stay. I leaned forward until my forehead rested against his chest. He inhaled sharply, then slowly wrapped his arms around me, holding me like something precious and breakable. I listened to his heartbeat, slow, steady, real, and for the first time in months, my own heart found a rhythm that wasn't made of grief alone. Can you stay with me tonight? I whispered. Of course. Not in that way, I added quickly. Just don't leave. His arms tightened. I wasn't going to. We stayed like that, wrapped in firelight and quiet breaths. until exhaustion finally pulled me under. And for the first night since Ethan died, I didn't dream of loss. I dreamed of warmth, of steady hands, of someone waiting for me to come home to myself. Morning found me wrapped in unfamiliar warmth. Not the warmth of Raphael's arm. She had kept his promise and stayed, but at a respectful distance, curled up on the rug by the fireplace after insisting he didn't mind. He had fallen asleep sitting against the couch, head tilted slightly, one arm draped over his chest, breathing deep and steady. The fire had died down to glowing embers. Soft sunlight filtered through the curtains. And for the first time in so long, I woke without the crushing weight of dread on my chest. Just quiet, just breath, just peace. I pulled the blanket around me and watched him sleep for a moment, the early light softening the hard angles of his face. He looked younger like this, softer, vulnerable, and something inside me stirred, gentle, hesitant, but unmistakably alive. His thoughts drifted faintly, unguarded in sleep. I hope today hurts him less. My throat tightened. I stood slowly, stretching my stiff legs, then padded into the kitchen to make coffee. The rich scent filled the air, grounding me further. Felt almost normal, domestic, like a life I hadn't allowed myself to imagine. When I returned to the living room, Raphael was awake, blinking sleep from his eyes. A small smile tugged at the corner of his mouth when he saw me. "Morning," he rasped, voice thick with sleep. "Morning," I said softly. "Coffee?" He accepted the mug with both hands, as if it were something sacred. His fingers brushed barely, but it sent a warm ripple through me. We sat together on the rug, letting the quiet wrap around us in a way that felt strangely intimate. "How did you sleep?" he asked. "Better," I admitted. "Because you were here." His breath hitched, just a little. His thoughts whispered, tentative. I'd stay every night if he asked. I looked into my coffee, gathering courage I didn't know I still had. I felt safe last night. "I'm glad," he said, voice low. I hesitated, then added, "Raphael, I think I've been afraid of living. Afraid that moving forward means leaving Ethan behind." "It doesn't," he said immediately. "It means you're carrying him with you in a way that lets you breathe." His conviction steadied me. I took a slow breath. "And I think I want to try breathing again." The meaning behind my words hung in the air. A fragile beginning. A step toward something neither of us dared to name yet. Raphael didn't push, didn't rush. He just looked at me with a softness that made my heart ache. "You don't have to decide anything right now," he said. "I know." I met his eyes. "But I'm deciding something." He swallowed hard. "What's that?" "That you don't have to stand 5 houses away anymore." His eyes widened. Surprise, hope, and a flicker of fear all mingled together. "Rowan, I'm not ready for more," I whispered. "But I'm ready for you. In my life. In the quiet moments. In the hard ones. I want you here." His breath shuddered out, relief washing through him so powerfully I felt it in my own chest. Then, slowly, carefully, he reached out and cupped my cheek, not pulling me in, not asking for anything, just a touch that said, "I'm here. I'm real. You're not alone." I leaned into his hand. "I'm right here," he murmured. "As long as you want me." We stayed like that until the coffee went cold, letting the morning light grow around us. The whisper of distant omegas tugged at my mind, but they didn't overwhelm me. Not today. Today, their voices were soft, letting me exist in my own emotions. Perhaps this strange ability wasn't about burden. Maybe it was about connection, understanding the quiet aches of others so I could understand my own. Later that afternoon, Raphael walked me to the small garden behind my house. The winter air was crisp, but sunlight warmed the tops of the bare trees. He paused near the rosemary bush Ethan had planted years before. "You ever think you'll tell people?" Raphael asked. "About what you can hear?" I shook my head. "Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I want to learn how to use it. How to not let it drown me." "You won't drown," he said firmly. "Not while I'm around." I smelled a real one, small but sincere. I know. A bird landed on the fence, chirping once before flying off, and the quiet between us grew soft again. Raphael, I said gently. He turned toward me. I'm not promising a storybook ending. I'm not promising timelines or labels, but I'm promising effort. I'm promising honesty. I'm promising to let myself feel again, even when it scares me. His chest rose with a deep, trembling breath. That's more than enough, he said. I stepped closer, close enough that our breaths mingled in the cold air. His eyes searched mine for something, maybe permission, maybe clarity. I gave a small nod. He lifted his hand, brushing his thumb along my cheekbone, a touch so light it felt like memory more than reality. Then he pressed his forehead to mine, closing his eyes. No demands, no expectations, just presence, just warmth. His thoughts flowed through me like a soft tide. This is all I ever wanted. Just him. Just this. I exhaled shakily. Raphael, I whispered. I want you to stay for dinner tonight. He smiled, small and breathless. Yeah. The future no longer felt like a dark hallway. It felt like a doorway cracked open, light spilling through, waiting for me to step into it. And when Raphael slipped his fingers between mine, lacing them slowly, carefully, with a tenderness that made my chest tighten, I stepped, not away from Ethan, but forward, toward something new, toward something warm, toward someone who waited without asking for anything in return. The wind rustled the bare branches, carrying a chorus of soft omega wishes to my ears, but none of them drowned me. None of them pulled me under, because for the first time I wasn't listening alone. Raphael squeezed my hand. I squeezed back, and somewhere inside me, something finally started to heal. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.